trying to get free, does so, and there it is! A perfect half for Kyrie Irving! 20 points!
Are the Brooklyn Nets open to trading Kyrie Irving for Anthony Davis? That was indeed a report that was going around for a bit the last week or so, but the question has now been answered with a no, due to Kyrie himself. Because as you might know, Kyrie Irving is one of the best players on the floor, but when it comes to how he handles himself off of the floor, he's one of the worst. So when people heard he wanted to get out of the Nets potentially, people were curious. But just as quickly as that door opened, the door has now been shut by his own hand, leaving teams like the Lakers wondering why they went through with these questions about trades at all.
Kyrie at the buzzer! Man, that thing was in the air for a long time.
Number 6, the opt-in decision. Let's get right to it, shall we? Because it appears as though Kyrie Irving is opting into his $36.5 million option with the Brooklyn Nets for next season. Normal people keep the world going, but those who dare to be different lead us into tomorrow, Irving told The Athletic. I've made my decision to opt in. See you all in the fall. Irving had created a list of teams he would have liked the Nets to consider working with on a sign-and-trade deal if they couldn't agree on terms for him to stay in Brooklyn. But the Los Angeles Lakers were the only team known to be interested, with sources telling ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. Hence why some felt a Kyrie for Anthony Davis deal was on the table. But not so much anymore, wouldn't you say? A very Kyrie Irving kind of ending. Number 5, no more sign-and-trade. Without the ability to find a sign-and-trade deal, Irving plans to exercise his player option, sources confirmed. He has until 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday to file the paperwork to opt in. Irving is now no longer eligible for a sign-and-trade deal. The Nets could still work to trade him as an expiring contract, but Irving would have no formal voice in a potential landing spot. He has until June 30th of next year to work out an extension with the Nets before becoming an unrestricted free agent. Irving, 30, averaged 27.4 points, 5.8 assists, and 4.4 rebounds last season, but played in only 29 regular season games. By deciding not to get vaccinated against COVID, Irving was ineligible to play in New York City much of the season because of a city vaccination mandate for employees, and the Nets resisted having him as a part-time player until January. When he did play, Irving reminded everyone just how talented he still is, as evidenced by a stretch in March and April when he scored at least 40 points in 4 games, including 60 during a March 15 win over the Orlando Magic. There were usually large gaps in between when he could play until New York City Mayor Eric Adams reversed course in late March and allowed a vaccination exemption for athletes and performers. Irving played in all 4 games of the Nets' first-round loss to the Boston Celtics in the playoffs when the team was swept. Due to a variety of injuries and other issues off the floor, he has played in just 103 regular season games over a span of 3 seasons. That is not good for a team in the Nets who are trying to be champs for the first time and got both him and Kevin Durant to try to make that happen, and it hasn't come close in some respects during that time. So it would have potentially made sense for them to go after Anthony Davis so that they could keep him healthy. But now that this isn't likely an option, he's still now very much a Los Angeles Lakers problem. Number 4, Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis always seems to be injured for the Lakers and is set to make $121.8 million through the 2024-2025 season. Could make a lot of sense for the Los Angeles Lakers to try and move the all-star big man right now while he still holds a ton of value on the market. It is going to be extremely difficult for the Lakers to try and trade Anthony Davis, should they be wanting to do so in the offseason that we are now in, simply because of the fact that he has a lot of yellow flags attached to him. His injury and durability concerns loom large right now, and not many rebuilding teams in this league would likely be willing to give up a ton of future assets to bring in Davis right now. Not to mention, $38 million for the 2022-2023 season is a lot of trade value that many teams cannot match right now, or in the offseason for that matter. Plus, even if they did give him up, it's not just about getting rid of him, but getting equal value, or enough value to build up a team over time via draft picks. So are there teams that can do that right now? 2 come to mind.
Puts it in. Here's Davis, 4-3 in the win. Oh, it's good! Anthony Davis has won it for the Lakers!
Number 3, OKC Thunder. If there is one team in the league that has the capability to trade for any player, it is the Oklahoma City Thunder, simply because of all the future assets they own. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Josh Giddey are likely untouchable in trade talks, but Lou Dort, Darius Baisley, Alexei Pokasevsky, Theo Maledon, and Jeremiah Robinson-Earl could all be moved in a massive package deal for Anthony Davis. Plus, the Thunder had the rights to 35 total draft picks through 2028 before the recent NBA draft. But even with some losses, they still have plenty to give out. Any combination of draft picks and young talent are on the table for a trade involving the Oklahoma City Thunder right now, and Anthony Davis could be the perfect all-star for them to build with, especially since he is only 28 years old and the Thunder have an immediate need for a big man in their front court. A deal hasn't been made yet, but considering what they have, the Thunder are at the very least an option. Number 2, Charlotte Hornets. Another team besides the Oklahoma City Thunder who could show a level of interest in Anthony Davis is the Charlotte Hornets. For quite some time now, the Hornets have been trying to fix the problems in their front court, and while Mason Plumlee and recently acquired Montrezl Harrell have played well, these two are still not the future of the Hornets front court. LaMelo Ball and Terry Rozier have the backcourt tied up, but the need for a true threat in the front court is very apparent in Charlotte right now, and may be the final piece to making them a real threat in the Eastern Conference. Anthony Davis is not only an elite-level offensive talent when healthy, but he is one of the best defensive players in the league. Running pick-and-roll sets with LaMelo Ball and Terry Rozier would be highly advantageous to the Charlotte Hornets, and they have quite a few assets to talk trades with. Gordon Hayward is starting to get up there in years, making him a possible offseason trade asset for this team, and Miles Bridges is going to be a very attractive trade piece for this team after the season that he has put together. At just 23 years old and being a double-double threat on the wing, Miles Bridges could be exactly what the Los Angeles Lakers would like to add on the wing in a trade involving Anthony Davis. PJ Washington could be included in a trade for more future value going to Los Angeles, as could rookies James Bouknight and Kai Jones. The team was a surprise last year, and they did make it pretty far on raw talent alone. With a new coach on the way and potentially a big person entering the mix via Davis, it could be enough to push them over the hump and make them true contenders.
Rondo Barnes going to the basket, blocked by Davis! Lakers win it on the block by AD!
Number 1, fixing things. The true big picture situation here for both the Nets and the Lakers is the simple fact that they are teams in flux. They have all the talent that should lead them to the NBA Finals, and many felt at the beginning of the year that a Nets-Lakers Finals was possible, but has proven to not exactly be the case. Injuries, tougher conferences, and on-off-court issues with players like Kyrie are holding the teams back from their full-on potential, whatever that may be. This upcoming season is going to be crucial for both teams because they made big deals to get players to their squads to get titles, and they need to see results or else be left in a spiral that neither side wants. Whether that gets Davis at this point is anyone's guess, but it's more than likely not going to be Brooklyn. So what do you think? What do you think of this look at the Nets and Lakers and their situations with their two-star players? Do you think the Lakers or the Nets will be able to work out what's truly wrong with their team so that they can keep going forward? Or do you think with the various obstacles in their way that things aren't going to get better before they get worse? Let us know in the comments below, and we will see you next time on the channel.